Wellington and Okapi, which is always a big U19 rivalry here in South Florida, was one of the most hotly contested matchups when we see the calendar for the U19s. And we're going to let's bring on our Okapi guys first from this matchup. Gavin McLeavy.
Hey guys, how's it going?
Oh, I can hear you okay.
Hi guys.
I'm having terrible audio issues tonight, but it is what it is. And joining us is Mick, another Mick. We all had we had one Mick sponsor us. Now we're going to have another Mick on, as well as Pierce Griffin, another player for Okapi. Which we'll get to the young gentleman. We always like to hear from the young guys. But let's get to Gavin McLeavy first. I won't call you what Charlie called you on our rundown.
Charlie's got many names for me, mate. Many names.
It involves an F word, but we all love Gavin, a former rugby league guy. I won't hold that against him. Traveled around, played rugby union all over the place, and then moved. When did you move here, Gav?
I think I got here 2007-ish, something like that, 2007, 2008. And then, got dragged into the whole Florida rugby thing, and obviously loving life ever since.
Now, how did Okapi Wanderers start? I don't think I've ever heard the story of how Okapi Wanderers started.
Let me think. Oof, that's a good one. So I dragged my kids up to Western and met a guy, Javier Garcia, and he asked me to get involved with Western at that time, a couple of years before they kind of folded. I helped him set up the Pines team, West Pines, and we did about a year there. And then Mr. Gallo, very infamous Mr. Gallo, dragged me back to Western and said, listen, I want you to coach these kids and set up the team there. So back there, I think it was like 5 or 6 years ago now. We've been going for 5, 6 years, maybe 7. I can't remember. But yeah, so we basically got together. We banged on the town hall door and made the mayor like us. And once we got the mayor on board, once we got him on board, we were golden. We started getting a little bit of field space, and then pushed out some of the American football teams and bullied the baseball guys, and eventually we got some space. And ever since they can't remove us anymore. Right,
and obviously one of the bigger clubs. I think remember, I don't know, club size and player size. You're probably one of the bigger clubs on the Eastern Seaboard, right?
Yeah, at one point I remember they were doing USA Rugby were doing statistics, and we were the fastest growing club at one point. One guy that I spoke to seemed to think we were the biggest club in the USA, but I don't think that's the truth. But certainly the biggest club in Florida, and definitely in the southeast. From what I could figure out, yeah, it's been going well. This year was a little bit unusual, obviously with COVID stuff. The numbers dropped a little bit, but for the most part, all the kids that were with us in previous years kind of came back. We just haven't seen that normal growth. Maybe we grow 10%, for example, every year. That this year we really haven't seen that normal growth. We've kind of stagnated, but obvious reasons.
Yeah, we did have an Okapi episode back in the fall. So those of you that want to access the on-demand stuff, it's on the YouTube channel. You can access it there or via Facebook. YouTube's probably a little easier. How many kids do you have at the moment, and how many of you had sort of max, Gav?
I think at one point we ended up at 250. Well, that was including the men's team and maybe the old boys as well. We're a little bit below that. I think we're just shy of 200 at the moment. But again, I think next year it'll start to bounce back up again. We haven't gotten any additional field space. We've only got the one field that we get Tuesday through Friday night, and then we've even brought in like a hockey club now.
Right.
So we have field hockey sort of for the siblings. A lot of the boys obviously have sisters that maybe want to play hockey, but my push is to start thinking about getting female rugby going within the club as well. So then we can obviously integrate the whole thing together, and some people play field hockey and some people play rugby. So that's kind of maybe the next step for us. A long time coming, but I had to sort of convince a few of the board of directors that's that's the next stage of what we're going to do as a rugby club, and continue to grow that way. And there's a lot of rumors about an MLR team coming into town. We've hosted a couple of investment groups that have come to us and sort of asked for our opinion on stuff, and they've looked around the city of Western. We've introduced them to the city managers and had meetings on that level. and they like the idea of it, at least using it as a training facility and some kind of an academy system, and that might tie in quite nicely at some point in the future. But we're working quite closely with the Atlanta team as well, and that's kind of connected in with the Jaguares. So that's obviously more of a Florida global piece of the puzzle. So it's kind of, there's a lot of stuff in the pipeline. So it'll be interesting to see how it all pans out over the next couple of years. But I'm pretty excited about it, and I'm not going anywhere. So I'm going to see it all the way through to wherever it ends up. It's pretty exciting times.
Good stuff. I know you lost your partner, Matt Hayden, but things have been continuing to go, as you said. Now, what about a girls' team? When are we going to get a girls' team in Okapi?
Yeah, that's something that we really need to get going. And a lot of the team moms are kind of on board as well, even if it's just for fun to begin with. We do these sort of annual things where the parents get involved and play a bit of touch rugby. And when that happens, the team moms kind of get involved and get pretty excited about playing a bit of touch rugby. So I think from that we can definitely start to push towards it. I get really happy when I see, for example, this last weekend when we went to Wellington to play, and in the younger age groups, I think like the under 12s, if I'm not mistaken, and maybe even the under 10s, there was a lot of girls in those teams playing against us. And so some of the parents are, a little bit negative towards it, but in general, it's something that I think everyone's coming around to the idea of it, and it's definitely the next step as a club that we want to get into and let that flourish, because at the end of the day, girls going into university, that's a big thing with the NCAA. And on the men's side, obviously it's run by USA Rugby, so it's already an established NCAA sport on the women's side. So really, that's where it's going to grow, similar to soccer 20 years ago, right? That's how women's soccer in the USA now is very, very strong, because it's open. The NCAA sort of get on board and ran with it. So now these scholarships have all opened up. So it's a huge thing. I think women's rugby is going to help us grow the game of rugby in this country. That's going to be, I think, the pathway for us to develop the whole rugby growth in this country.
100%. Now let's talk about the U19s team this season. How we're looking so far?
Not bad. A little bit of a smaller team than we've normally had in past years. So we're a little bit nervous coming in, but the lads have actually beginning to step up and just maturing really well as a squad. They've stopped trying to beat these guys by tackling high. Sticking the shoulder in the chest of a guy that's 100 pounds heavier than them just doesn't work, does it? So a lot of the lads, a couple of years ago, they were, a lot of this sort of hand to try and tackle. Now they're really getting low and chopping them down. So I'm really happy with that. And we've become a lot more mature, I think, as a team. The lads are playing to a more sophisticated game plan that we've tried to introduce, and we try and push that game plan down to all of the different age groups. Obviously not the most complex stuff with the younger guys, but the guys have become really mature with the way that they play, the way that they process the information as the game is being played, and starting to make their decisions. I tend not to give too much direction now during games, because these guys know what I'm expecting of them. And it's very much, let's fix it in training, let's fix it at halftime, and then we go again. So that's, for me, that's been the highlight of watching the guys in the first couple of games. They lost one against Jacksonville. We travelled up there and got our asses handed to us. Then Cape came to us, and guys, just composed themselves. Really rough game against Cape, and the guys were super composed, just very mature, played intelligently, frustrated Cape, and ultimately, it was a good win there. And then this weekend we played against Wellington, and I want to sort of point out Wellington, for me, over the last couple of years, have always been it's always been a bit of a battle physically. Oh yes, it's always a few cards end up getting handed out and stuff. This game this weekend, for me, showed Wellington that they've really developed as a club, and they've kind of always been like a year or two behind us in their development. And you can see now that they're maturing also as a team, and it's becoming very competitive. I don't know what the score was this weekend. I think it was maybe 29, 20 something. It was close.
It was a close one, yeah.
Yeah, we were always leading, but we were never really confident. You know what I mean? so it was nice to see that they are also developing in the same way that I feel we are in terms of the maturity and the rugby IQ. It's really come out. They were very focused. They obviously had a game plan, and they used it to the full effect. They just fell a little short. I think one of the guys that's in this picture right now was maybe the difference in terms of getting his kicks pretty much spot on for that day, and that was the difference at the end of it. We just got a few more points on the board, kicking over the sticks.
Nice little fend off there. I'm not going to call it a stiff arm. That would be wrong, but some good highlights here from that game. Dana Mischeezy refereeing that one for us, helping out. We're a little short of refs down here this weekend due to Ruggerfest, so that was great to see her helping out down from Queen's College. Queen's College, we'll talk about with one of our seniors coming up here once we get to the end of these highlights. Nice little run down the line there by a Wellington player. Yeah,
that was right towards the end of the game. It was making me a little bit nervous, to be honest. We were comfortably ahead, and that try, thankfully, was the end signal, the end of the game, if I remember rightly. So we ended up getting away with it, and they didn't get another chance to score, because if they did, I think there was only maybe a 5-point difference. So it would have been extremely tight if the referee restarted the game.
Yeah, with Jacksonville losing to Boca this week, Boca I know lost to Key Biscayne. It seems like it's a very competitive U19s division this season. Perhaps Key Biscayne, I think the team to beat at the moment. I'm not sure how Orlando are doing at the moment, but it's gonna. I don't think everybody makes the playoffs this year. I forgot to check the whole playoff setup before this episode, but maybe Gavin can fill us in on the playoff setup.
No, mate, I coach very simply. I just take the game that I'm being told that I've got to coach. I play that game, and then I go home and have a beer. That's about my limit. I don't think too much about the next week until it's there. And Friday night, I'm like, okay, who are we playing? Who's on my team? All right, let's go and see if we can win. That I genuinely have no clue on the structures of the league, or I just turn up and coach and enjoy it because I've got a good set of kids, and I kind of just I try not to stress myself too much about winning and losing. I just know that if the guys do a good job, then 9 times out of 10 we'll win. So that's the way I kind of approach it on a coaching basis. Everyone's always asking me, who do we play next, or how many points do we have to get to win? And I don't know. I'm just going to show up. We'll play really well, and I'll coach how to play and adjust if we're not doing well. That's kind of how I look at it. And I know the guys get frustrated about it, but I enjoy doing this. So,
one game at a time, as the
exactly.
cliche says. I'll come back to you with your ASM. They're not a sponsor of our podcast yet, but we will talk a little bit about Gavin's work with ASM. But let's get to our 2 players here, Mick Costa and Pierce Griffin. We'll start with Pierce. Pierce, give me. You sent me a little bit of your rugby history, but how's the accent? I assume you've lost your accent by now, but give me a bit of your background.
It's gone now, anyway. Well, I first started rugby back home in Ireland when I was around, I'd say 7 or 8. I hear it. I still hear it. In Ennis, yeah. And we moved over here, I'd say 8-9 years ago. My dad's job. So when I first moved here, we actually started, as Gavin was saying, with that Weston club, and I actually played around 2 years with a load of kids that I've now moved on. But from there, once that ended, I ended up not playing rugby for around a year and a half, 2 years, and then Okapi started back up, and I just couldn't wait to get back into it. Ever since then,
are you a Munster fan?
Pardon?
I said you're a Munster fan.
Yeah, I'm a huge Munster fan.
Okay, now, what year were you born?
I was born 2002.
Okay, so you were only 2 back in 2004. Your dad can probably tell you about this, when Wasps scored 2 late tries to defeat Munster in the 2004 European Cup semi-finals. Went on to win the whole thing. I won't bring that up anymore, but I just wanted to mention, being a Wasps fan, that's one of the best Wasps matches in the history of their program. But listen, you're playing some serious rugby now. Tell us some about some of your representative stuff you've been playing and where you're going to go play college ball.
Yeah, so I've played for the Florida Juice a year and a half ago for the Florida Dragons, and I played with the USA South in multiple tournaments like Sevens in Vegas and Lake City. And then next year, I've fully committed to Queen's University in Charlotte, so I'm just looking forward to getting up there and getting started.
Yeah, Queens definitely making their presence felt down here, both on the men's and the women's side, recruiting a lot of quality talent out of South Florida. Piers, what position do you play?
I play fly half, number 10.
Okay, and you're looking to continue to play there at the college level?
Yeah, fly half, fullback, anything along the back line, I'm perfectly fine with.
So talk a little bit about, before I get to Mick, talk a little bit about this U19's team this year and how you've progressed, and obviously a big win on Saturday.
Yeah, I'm very confident in this team. Obviously, we're apparently smaller this year than last year, but I'm not worried about that. We all get low, tackle, do our job. And I think the structure is coming together now that the year's coming by. I think the first 2 weeks were probably a little bit shaky on it, but now that we have the structure down, I think we're good to go for the rest of the year and for the playoffs.
Charlie, post Kenny's comment there. He does have the right hairstyle for a fly half. He does just have a little bit of a resemblance to a young Owen Farrell. Hopefully, you don't tackle like him, Pierce, because he needs to learn how to tackle. Let's get to your teammate here sitting next to you. Does he live with you, or is he just hanging out with you right now?
No, just hanging out. Watch a bit of film before our game this weekend. So
there you go. Mick, tell us a bit about yourself, Mick.
I started playing my freshman year in high school. I'm a senior now. I started playing with St. Thomas Aquinas originally. Turned into Rocket. Disbanded after that, but I moved over to Okapi my sophomore year, and been playing with them, practicing with them, taking my game to the highest level I can, and it's all been up from there.
So coming from a different background than Pierce, who's obviously playing a lot younger than you, how did you get into rugby in the first place back as a freshman?
This guy right here.
Oh, okay, so you've been friends for a while.
Yeah. I think we started being friends like what was it, eighth grade freshman year.
So I got him into it early.
There you go. What position do you play, Mick?
It's a tough question. You ask Gavin, he might.
Utility. Wherever Coach Gavin tells you to play is the answer.
Yeah, pretty much. Primarily, I think of myself as a scrum half, but Gavin likes to throw me around at 8, 7, and 6. But I go where I'm told.
Well, that tells you where your talent is. Clearly around the ball and ball carrying. There's no doubt about it. Talk a little about how you've kept playing rugby for 4 years. So something about this game that you enjoyed. Did you play any other sports, and what really kept you playing rugby over these 4 years, other than Pierce?
Well, I started out playing baseball pretty much my whole life until high school. Threw my elbow out and switched over to rugby. But there's nothing to compare to the community in rugby, to be honest with you. Like
100%.
Never would have thought about having meals with the opposing team after a game of any other sport. It's family. I was watching a video of our team from last year, and it's bittersweet because you miss those guys and you want to get back out there with them, but you got a team that you love just as much when you're playing every year. So do what you can.
Good stuff. And where are you looking to forward your rugby career?
I'm going to be playing with the University of Georgia next year.
Oh, awesome! The Dogs. How is their rugby program? I know it's not it's not in the elite level, but playing 1AA, I assume, and playing in the SEC.
1AA. We have a new coach heading up. Really taking our recruiting class to the next level. We haven't had anything like this, so look out for us these next couple years. We're going to be looking to take it to some championships and hopefully end up in Division 1A by the end of my 4 years.
There's Pierce kicking. You're a lefty, Pierce. I see.
Yes, sir.
Little Johnny Wilkinson action. I like it. Well, good stuff, boys. Let's bring Gavin back in. Gavin, tell us a little bit about your shirt. I mean, you're obviously clearly here to promote ASM a little bit with your background and your shirt, and I'm going to allow you to do that within reason. If you go too far, Charlie will blur you out. So, considering you're a non-paying sponsor, I'm going to give you a little bit here to pimp your program that is ASM. Tell us a little bit about it.
No, yeah, real briefly. Just basically, it's a sports management company. So I'm a licensed agent, so I have a couple of pro players. But I got brought into this company because of Okapi, really. Someone found me, a guy called Chris Vidal, who's the CEO. He brought me in because he realized that I had a lot of contact with rugby in this part of the world, and he wanted to develop that in the organization. So now I'm actually a partner in the company, and I'm the global scout director. So what we do is help kids get from high school to university on sports scholarships. I obviously focus on rugby, but we do it for pretty much every sport that's played in the universities here in the. We got about 700 kids placed in university last year.
Wow.
And that continues to grow. I think we've got close to 300 employees now around the world. So scouts and consultants and different managers and directors of the organization. One of my partners is Ernie Els, the golfer. Sir Nick Faldo as well works with us. Brian Habana is an ambassador with us, and Alex Corbachero that we obviously all know here in the US. Yes. So that's the kind of category of people that we work with, and they help promote what we do, and the idea is just to help kids get into university, and in any way that they can, we'll help them and get through their SATs and all that kind of stuff. So it's a lot of fun. I enjoy doing it. I get to talk about sports all day, so it's definitely better having a real job, right? Anything I can do to avoid having a real job.
You're preaching to the choir here, mate. Gavin's a commentator, just like I am. What percentage of kids, foreign versus US, do you guys work with?
It's probably about 90% foreigners, to be honest. Obviously, a lot of the services that we provide is sometimes it's the visa process, or preparing the SAT. American kids don't need that preparation for the SAT because they already get it through high school. So yeah, most of it tends to be the foreign kids coming in, but and for those more international sports, right? The American football kids, obviously, they can take care of themselves. The baseball kids within the country, but soccer, rugby, field hockey, even basketball to a certain extent, and definitely baseball, just because that's more international. But yeah, it's a fair amount of foreigners, but there is obviously a lot of services. It's more connecting the kids to the coaches more than anything else.
What can you tell us about these two boys here before you go? And I expect to check in the mail from ASM tomorrow.
Yeah, it's coming. Don't worry, mate. No, these two actually. Pierce, obviously, I've been coaching from when he was very young. He was a very skinny little lad back then, and he's kind of finally beginning to fill out. I think his mum and dad started feeding him properly, and he's really a very intelligent fly half. Just good game IQ, reads the game well, kicks well. Mick, on the other hand, I've got Mick as an athlete. He's an athlete, and he thinks he's a scrum half. So I love scrum half because that's.
There's plenty of those out there. We've all played with one of them.
Well, the problem we have in our club is we've got like literally 3 or 4 scrum halves at this age group. So I'm really struggling I have a really good problem in the club at the moment is just selecting the players. And Mick, I know, is a smart player, so I can always put him in place pretty quick, and he'll pick up the game wherever I put him. But obviously, having that intelligence and that athletic ability is detriment to what he wants, because at the end of the day, I get to choose. So it's a lot of fun. Good kids, smart kids. They turn up and they help out the young ones. So on their nights that they're not training, they come in and actually help the youth as well. So the under 14s, under 12s. So big thanks to these lads that they're stepping up and doing that. And there's a few others that do it as well. So thank you to all those lads at the high school team that are looking after the little ones as well. Good lads.
Yeah, a big thanks to you too, Gavin.
Cheers, mate.
He's a good man for a dirty northerner. He is. All right, boys.
Hey, Gavin. I'm pretty sure that Mariano's going to call me right after the show is over because you probably screwed something up, with the data. If everything is not perfect, he's calling me and said, it wasn't 4 years ago, it was 5, and all this kind of stuff.
Detail-oriented is that, man.
It's coming.
Yes. Well, thanks, gents. Good luck the rest of the way.
Thanks a lot. Thanks very much, guys, for what you're doing. I love the podcast and the show in general, and your ugly mugs are much appreciated.
And I just want to give a little message for the kicker. You made a conversion from your pretty much like almost 50 meters on that game, which is something that you just do not see around here. So congratulations. I'm pretty sure you practice because you can't do that if you don't practice. So keep practicing. Keep practicing.
Yes.
Charlie's a big fan of kicking the ball in all aspects. But yeah, no, nice pickup for Georgia there, and as well for Queen's College. Thanks, boys. Good luck the rest of the way, as I said.
And before Gavin goes, here, that's for you.
Thank you, Charlie.
Okay, take care, man.
I haven't given him a red yet. I've been tempted to give some of his parents reds though over the years, but I haven't managed to do that either. But thanks, guys.
Cheers.
See you around. Good luck.
See you in another episode soon. All right.
Okay.